In this video, I am going to show how to create a small application. This is really meant for myself, and let's see. So essentially, so I've got Laz4Android installed here, which this is a standard install. And what we're going to do is, oh, and the other thing I'm going to say is, so I actually have, I'm basically going to do this little application over again, which is sitting here in the Laz4Android Lazarus IDE. So I'm going to be using it as a template to build a little test program. I've noticed in doing this sometimes things go wacky, so there may be parts of the video where I'm going to stop it and clean up the wackiness. Normally the wackiness does not happen if I'm just running one version of the Laz4Android. Alright, so we're going to start up the Laz4Android application here, and it's going to come up and try and open some old project which we're not going to use. Instead, let's see, is there anything I can mention about this? So in the Laz4Android install, they actually use this docking. They show you how to set up this docking. This is not what my normal Lazarus looks like. However, for the Laz4Android stuff, it's been okay. So let's see, we're going to go ahead and create a new project. And new project. And what you do is you go down here to Lazarus. I've already forgotten what this stands for. Android something. Oh, Android module for Windows, I guess. Alright, so anyway, we're going to create a new one of these. Click on OK. This is the directory it's going to build it in, and we're going to call this testvid2. This is correct. We're using Ant. If you are using the newer materials version of the interface, you need to use Gradle. Gradle's rather slow to compile, so, or not compile, but link build, whatever it is. So at this point I'm sticking with Ant. And then right now for the APIs I've been using this. And I'm using ARM version 7A, which is okay. Everything else here is okay. So let's click on OK. And we're going to go ahead and call this Unit 1, and you see here it's Laz4Android source, testvid2, and the JNI is where everything ends up being put, everything important to us. Click on Save. Alright, so now we have a blank project. And so if we go to Unit 1, and then we come down here to Designer, here is our initial screen. So what I'm going to be doing with this, hopefully, is we're going to try and make it look like this one, and I will be showing you what it appears like on my phone. Hopefully this is going to work okay. I actually have a mouse on my phone. Now here's one of the problems that I have. Sometimes this thing seems to disconnect. But anyway, we will address that when it's time to actually see the phone. But this way you can actually see what the phone looks like as I'm doing this. Alright, so have I got anything else to say? So this part works like the standard Lazarus, no problemo. And I don't really use these, but the project inspector is available in regular Lazarus too. Most of what I'm going to be doing is in Unit 1. So this is all the standard. If you go to the code, this is a standard free Pascal that you're used to seeing. This controls is the interface between Java and Pascal. And at this point I have not touched this. I'm sure at some point in time this will become more interesting, but for the stuff I'm doing right now, I'm not messing with that. And then of course, so in Unit 1 it's basically working with this form here. Alright, so a lot of this works like Lazarus, which is awesome because you don't really have to think too much about how to make things happen. I mean, there are some differences, but it's not too bad. Alright, so now if you know the name of your control, like JView, actually JTextView, you can type it in and get straight to an object. If you want to see all the objects, you can go to Palettes. And actually, let's clear this out. And so all the normal stuff, as far as I know, doesn't work. There's some special palettes in here for Java. So I'm going to min on. So these are it right here, actually, the Android bridges. So essentially, if I understand this correctly, this is producing a bridge between Lazarus and the Android JMenu widget. So you can see there's actually a lot of Java widgets available in this thing. Alright, so there is that. Okay, so let's start trying to do a little coding here. So the first thing that you want to do is take a look at your basic form and adjust it to the size that you want. So I'm going to go to select size, and then I've been using 480 by 800, width 480, height 400. And so this gives me a reasonable accurate view of my phone. Alright, and then I know that I want the background color to be CORBR Ghost White. Alright, piece of cake. So we have begun. So now if we take a look at Android module, let's just take a look and make sure things match up. So action bar title should be hide. I know it's not, so let's fix that. Hide. Activity mode, main, that's the same. Alright, I haven't played with any of those things. Enabled, height should be right, and it is. Let's go drag this down just a smidge. Try and get it to match up. Okay, height, margin, name, text. Alright, so there's nothing else here that I've really modified. And so this does look about like what I have. Alright, so now if we go back to this, at the top we have got a JText view. This is just a little header. So now let's add that into our actual form here. So if I come over here and type JText view, select it, click here, there's my JText view. So now we need to fix various properties. Okay, I'm going to select JText view here. So the alignment is centered, color is blue, font size is 20. Center, COLBR blue, and font size is going to be 20. Alrighty, font size, font unit, gravity and parent. I've played with this some, but so far I haven't really used it. Alright, here's one thing that you're going to be playing around with. So layout parameter height. So what is the height of this? Well, the height is it's going to wrap around the content. So whatever font size you put in here, it's going to control the height of this. Now the layout parameter width, it's going to match the parent, and the parent is the overall Android module. So it basically covers the full length of that. So we need to change IP match parent. Right there. IP match parent. Okay, and now you can see it covers the full width. Alright, so continuing down. Alright, our name is not JText view, and this control doesn't really matter, but let's make it match. It should be L header. L header. Okay, now position relative to anchor and position relative to parent. So the thing that I have found in playing with this is you can't just move something on this screen and expect it to show up properly. Everything pretty much has to be relative to something else. So on this particular widget, it's not going to be relative to any anchor point, but it is going to be relative to its parent. And what we do is we want to center it, we want it to be up at the top. So now if I go to the drop down, center horizontal, change to true, and then top, change to true. And voila, I got it at the top. Pretty much everything needs to be relative to something else. Anything that I've tried to set in a specific position has not worked well for me. Of course, realizing I don't have a lot of experience in this thing yet. Alright, so text, this is where we're going to call it Big Dan's something. Calculator, I think. Simple calculator. Big Dan's simple calculator. Alright, now notice this isn't centered. Centering is controlled up here by alignment, and for whatever reason it doesn't display that it's centered, but when we go to run it, it's going to run alright. Okay. So there's our first widget put into place, and I think that we will just go ahead and show you how to do a compile at this point. So to compile, normally I do a Control F1, which I do not see here. Maybe it's under File. No, it's not there. Oh, there it is. So this is going to build the APK and run. And essentially it's going to do a compile first. While I'm playing and I think there's going to be any compile mistakes, I just do a Control F9, which is going to simply do a compile. So I'm not going to end up doing a run compile where you can see it. I'm going to just tell you I'm compiling, and I mean Control F9. So let's let it compile, and you'll see it down here doing its due. It's now linking, and you can see that compile is good, and there's no longer saying compile up here. So that essentially created an executable, but it did not put it onto the phone. So now let's bring up the phone over here. Make sure it's running okay. Which for some reason we seem to need to connect and disconnect every once in a while. Oh, fabulous. Now what's that about? Try it again. Of course, I need this working. Alright, I'm going to pause this video. Stand by. See what's wrong with this. It says it's working. Oh, good grief. Well, it appears that the application I was using to display the phone doesn't work well with this screen recorder. So anyway, let's try this one. Alright, so there's my phone. So now let's bring up, oh, and on the phone, note that it's just playing all the applications right now. Alright, so now to actually build and download the app, we're going to go to Run, Build Android App, Control F1. So it's probably the only time you're going to see me do a Control F1. The rest of the time I'll just say I'm building the app. Alright, so now if you watch down here, you notice it's compiling it again, which it's already compiled, so that goes quick. Alright, so we're building the APK. Alright, it's built it. Now it's downloading it. Now if you look at the phone, there you can see it's worked okay. Alright. If I click on that. Yeah, this app does not work as well as the other one visual wise, but the other one just conflicts. Alright, so anyway, there you have it. The application's running on my phone. So now let's go start fleshing this thing out. So coming back into here, so these are labels. So they're just simply text views. And then this is an edit view. Edit view. That's a button. This little line here is a text view. The answer goes into an edit text. And we have a number picker widget here. So let's take a look at first number here, and I don't think we want to start with it just because I believe that it's going to be relative to an anchor. Oh, and the anchor's up here, and the anchor's fnum1, which is this, correct? Yes, fnum1, and its anchor is IP header, or I header, I mean. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a edit text like this one. So if we come back into the new program, go to edit text, there is what we want, click here. Alright, and then it is just a matter of fixing up the various things here. So remember that our anchor needs to be the header. I think our alignment we don't mess with. TA right, we do. We're going to want text in it right justified. Background color is going to be Gainsborough. C-O-L-B-R-G-A-I. Alright. soft input. So we got false, false, true, true, true. I don't think I changed anything there. Nope. Font color we didn't mess with. Oh, yeah, we did. It's going to be black. Yeah, because that's not very seeable there. So it'll be our black. All right, there's our font color. Font face, normal. Okay, so we don't really play with the fonts. Now we did set a fixed height for this thing. 100. Yeah. Interesting. So that must not be what's controlling the height. Actually, controlling the height that I want, which makes sense. Thought it was strange that was set. All right, hint text. We don't care about that. We don't care about scroll bar. Okay, layout parameter height. All right, this is what's controlling height. So we want 1/8 of the parent. Now, in setting this up, basically as I'm setting this up, I play with the phone and I try it in portrait and landscape to see if everything shows up correctly. So, I mean, all of this has just been trial and error for me in order to getting it to work. Anyway, we're going to want the height to be 1/8 and we're going to want the width to be half of parent for both of them. So 1/8, 1, IP 1, LP 1/8 of parent, and then this is going to be IP half, LP half of parent. Ta-da! All right. So that's getting close to what we want. Now if we come down, so relative to anchor, we want it below the anchor, which is that. And then we want it right relative to the parent. So we're going to do below and right. I want to tell you, like, this has been really trial and error for me. Because I just don't have enough experience. Okay, and then relative to parent, it's going to be right. And voila, there you have it. And that looks exactly like that one. Sweet. All right, now for first number, actually let's take a quick look at this. Don't want to do it next. So its anchor is fnum1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to change the anchor here to JText1. And look at that. It should look exactly like. Sweet. Alright, so notice I called these lnum1. Oh, sorry. I call it fnum1 and fnum2. We need to fix that and also put in a initial value. So let's fix that up. And if I go to favorites, this is going to be fnum1. The text will be 0. And then if I go to here, it's going to be fnum2. Text is 0. And does that match the original? Yes. Let's just make sure if I go to favorites. Yep. Alright, so everything looks good there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create first num. What I'm going to try here, yeah, let's not do that yet. Okay, so this is a text view. So come here, type in text view. Put it there. And now coming back to here, we're selected. Let's look at our favorites first. So this is called LNM1, and text is first number. LNM1, first number. L for label, num1. And then this is first number. Okay, you can't see it because it's white. So we're going to go to properties. Properties, alignment, TA left. So we want this to be left justified in that field, which it is. And then our anchor is going to be FNUM1, which is what I've been thinking. FNUM1. Background color is going to be default. Enabled font color is going to be black. Font color. So LBR black. Ooh, you can see that now. Font face, font size, gravity and parent, height. Alright, so here we care about this. Layout parameter height. IP wrap content. Width is going to be half of parent. So let's get our width to be half of parent. LP half of parent. Good. And then we want relative to anchor is going to be RA align baseline. So we want this to be RA align baseline. And I think I selected baseline. Okay. See, I would assume baseline is right here, and I would expect these to line up along the bottom, and they don't. Bottom, let's try that just to see. Bottom. Yeah, see, I think that looks a little better, honestly. Well, how about top? Just to try it, align top. Okay, let's stick with that, since the 0 is right there. I might change that later, but let's start with that. Okay, and then if you look here for relative to parent, so it needs to be left of the parent, which is how we get butted up on the left-hand side of that. Alright, so come down here, relative on the right. Oh, I mean left. Okay. So now, do I like that where it is, or where this one is? Let's leave that where it is for now. Also notice I see a text view up here. What is this? Text view. Not sure where that came from, so let's just get rid of it. Okay, and then we are going to want to do the same thing with second number. And what we're going to try, see if it works, is we're going to copy that and paste it here. See if it works. Look at that. So we're going to do that on some of these fields to make this process a little faster. But now, relative to anchor, instead of baseline, we want it to be top. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so now select an operation is a button. Is that correct? Yep. I'm calling it BOP. So let's set up this button. Button. Oh, that's why when I hit the enter key it created the thing. So, alright, so there's our button. So now we want to make this button match what we had here. So anchor is FNUM2, and the color is going to be Gainsborough. FNUM2. COLBR. Okay. And then the font color is going to be COLBR black. Okay, so layout parameter height is going to be 1/8, which matches up with that. And then width is going to be 1/2 of parent. So both our parents, 1/8 and 1/2. P 1/2. P 1/2 of parent. Oh no, this is 1/8. What is it called again? 1/8. LP 1/8 of parent. And then this is going to be, width is 1/2, IP 1/2, LP 1/2 of parent. Alright, there's our button. And the name of this button is BOP. Alright, and then its anchor. And we know it's going to be below its anchor, and then left of its parent. So RA below, and then RP left. And there you go. That should look pretty darn close to what we have. Yep. And then we need this to be called select operation. If we go to favorites, there should be some text. Select operation. Okay. So we've got that. So now this line that I've drawn is actually just a text view that I made really narrow. I selected 16 pixels, and then I just said it's black. Background is black. So I'm not going to actually create that. I'm just going to copy it. Copy and paste. And there it is. Okay. Alright, and then the answer, we've already done these kind of labels, so let's just copy and paste that one too. Copy and paste. Nicely done. Alright, so now the answer goes here in a text box. It's called fanswer. So this is just a straight text box like these up here. There's nothing really special about it. So we're just going to go ahead and copy that to try and make this process a little bit faster. Paste it here. There's our answer. Now, the one thing is we've got these things aligned with the top, and the answer is not. So let's change its alignment. We want it relative to anchor RA relative anchor right there. So that is it. Relative to anchor, align top. Oh, there's what I was looking for. That didn't do what I expected. Align top. Oh, that's why. This is another. You kind of have to pay attention to these. So line of baseline and to top, and like it's just, you don't know exactly what's going to happen. So you'd think that if you turn this one on, that would turn this one off. Logically it would, but in reality it does not. Oh, that didn't help. I got another one set. Oh, they're all false. RA line top, isn't that what this is? RA line top. Oh, I don't have an anchor. That's the problem. My anchor needs to be F answer. Back here. And set my anchor to F answer. There we go. That's what we wanted. So now to question curiosity. What's my anchor here? Okay, good. Just making sure that these things have anchors. Alright, so we're getting close. Alright, so the only widget we have left is this number picker dialog. So in this, there's really very few things to set. I do have an event. So let's just go ahead and create this by hand. So this is a number picker. So come over here, for J, number picker. And click there. So this, you don't see this when the program is running. Well, you see it when it displays the number picker, but you don't see this little thing. Okay, oh, we need to make sure that our properties are correct. And so our max value is 3, min is 0. So it should be 10, 0. So let's change that to 10. No, that's not right. Yeah, I'm doing this wrong. It's supposed to be 3. So we have 4 operations, plus, minus, times, division, 4 operations. So 0 through 3 are the 4 that we want. So we set this to 4, or to 3 I mean. Title, value, wrap selector wheel. Okay, so everything there is right. Alright, so we should have essentially what appears to be right. There's no functioning code behind it. Now if we compile it, let's just go ahead and do a compile. Make sure it compiles okay, which it is doing. Alright, so we've compiled alright, so now let's go ahead and create the APK and download it with Control F1. And let's take a look at phone. And it's building it. And there you go. Alright, so interestingly, I'm missing text here. See no text there, see no text there. So where did it go? Alright, I'm not going to waste any time on the video, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and go see if I can find this text. Okay, found the problem. The problem is, or was, with a second number, the visibility was set to false. And in thinking about this, actually, let me show this, recompile it and run it on the camera. Of course, this is now out of date. Why is the camera? I swear, all this technology and it doesn't work on a regular basis. It's maddening. Alright, there we go. Anyway, that. So, there you see it. So actually in the program that I'm working for, I decided I didn't want to see these fields, and so what I did was, in order to not see them, I just simply set them to false. So if I select all three fields, there we go, and there we go. So now if you look down here, you will see that those three fields are set. And then if I come down here into visibility, change it to false. Now I've changed it to false in all three fields. So now if I select just this one, you'll see that its visibility is now false. And if I compile this, yeah, I think the reason this camera messes up is because I stop and start the video recorder. Alright. Building the APK. So Ant isn't particularly fast, but Gradle's really slow. Alright, now it's not seeing my phone. Good grief. I wish I had done that. Let's see why it's not seeing my phone here. It does see my phone. Getting ready to have another cluster here. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, so I don't normally have this many problems. I think the fact that I'm trying to run this camera plus the video recorder is just messing stuff up. Alright, I do not know what the problem is here. Alright, let me take it offline again, figure out what's going on. Okay, let's see if it works this time. I basically connected and disconnected the phone from USB. So, Control F1. Control F1. There we go. This is actually running in a virtual machine, and so I'm trying to run USBs in a virtual machine. Okay, something's happening here. And there you have. Alright, so now notice that answer, even though you can still see the fields in the developer designer, you can't see them here because the visibility is 0. So this is actually the way that the app I've got is running, so we're going to leave it like this. Alright. So let's close the camera. Don't need that anymore. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to work on the events for the various controls. So I have no events here. Oh, by the way, actually there is something here I need to change. If you look in here under properties, you will see someplace no, I just don't see it. I tell this that you can only enter numbers. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I don't see it now. Oh, input type. Input type EX. Oh, that's interesting. I would expect it to say ITX number here, not text. Alright, so curiosity. Please tell me this is going to work. Good. So if I click on the field, yeah, so it's asking for text. Alright, we actually just want numbers here. So I'm not sure why it's wrong in the other. Actually, it isn't wrong. Looking at the wrong project. So input type. I forgot the name of the field. It's not like there's that many fields. Hello. Input type. If num is edit text. Oh, that's why. If num input type. Okay, so it's number here. Oh, that's bizarre. Oh, no, no. Okay, so it should be number. And same thing for this one. Okay, so now when I run it, it's actually going to only allow numbers. Okay, so I have no events for these, evidently. So that's cool. Now for select operation, no events there either. Oh, because I'm in the wrong. Why I gotta quit that. Alright, so events. I was going to say there has to be events. So on click we're going to do something here. On click we're going to do something there. Select operation. On click we do something there. And then that shouldn't have anything. And there is an event for that. Alright, so let's go copy these events. So on click, I basically am going to do a select all. If num1 select all. So let's go into here, select the field, on click, F num1 dot click, select all. So now I've found that if I don't prefix this with fnum1, I'm going to get into trouble. And actually, I mean, you have to do that here anyway, but there have been cases where I've tried to do self, and it's caused me issues. I don't know why I can't use self like I would use in a normal Lazarus, but just an FYI, if you can't get self to work, you're going to need to actually specify the correct object. Alright, so 2, 3, let's copy that because in the designer, we're just going to put that into this too. One click, and except it's going to be F2. And let's just do a compile to make sure that there's no dumb typos. And you compile, alright. So the events for these two things are really quite simple. And essentially what this is doing is if you click on the field, it selects the whole field, so then when you go to type in a number, it overwrites the number. Prior to me making this change, if you look at this field here, so see how the whole number is selected there? Prior to doing that, when I go to click on a field, it would come up like this. And so you'd end up having to try and delete the 0, and it was just a mess. So in this one, that's exactly what's happening, is when I click on that, it's just selecting the field. So now actually this would probably be a good place in time to recompile this program. And just see how it works. Alright, building the APK. And here we go. Alright, so now if I come in here, notice I've only got numbers here. So if I press this, it selects the whole field. Interestingly, if I click on it, it's not happening. So I'm using a mouse here. I've got a little Bluetooth mouse, and clicking with the Bluetooth mouse is not the same thing. It's actually pressing the field. So if I press on that, interesting. Not quite sure why it's acting like that. I don't know if the first one did or not, but I'm not going to mess with that right now because this is not supposed to be getting any details. But anyway, that's what the click is supposed to do, is select all. Now maybe we could have changed this on enter and do a select all. In fact, just for the heck of it, let's do that to F1. F1 dot select all and compile it. It's not what I'm doing in the original program, but I may have had a problem there, just never noticed it in the original. Okay, and here comes the Alright, notice that also that focus is down here. We need to fix that as well. But let's go ahead and touch it. So on enter doesn't help either. So again, I am certainly no expert in how this stuff works. It's all brand new to me. I don't know why it's doing that. But I do know that I want the focus to be up here. And in order to do that, if I look at my original program, let's just come up here and type in, I want to find focus. Well, oh, there it is, set focus. So in the Android module show, I set F1. to have focus. So to do that here, I'm going to go to Module and on Show. Right here. And I'm going to say f1 dot set focus. Okay. So we'll look at that next time we run it, but it should work all right. All right, so that's getting us close to something kind of functioning, except for the most critical part, which is handling the number picker. So now if I take a look at in the original program, let's go to the designer and click on select operation button. You'll see I've got this on click event here. And so when you do it on click, it is going to, it's got an array of values. It's going to put various operations into that. It's then going to put those operations into the displayable variables of the number picker, and then it is going to change the dialog to operation to perform. And then once it gets everything set up, it basically gets rid of this dynamic array here. So we're just going to go ahead and copy this verbatim, because the point here is not how I do what I do, but how to get it into a functioning program, or the new program. Alright, so select operation, on click, and paste that in. And so there's what we want to have happen when we click on the button. Alright, then if we take a look at the actual number picker and look at this event, so this is what's going to happen when the number picker is used. So essentially when you pick a number, it is going to change the text on the calculator. This right here, select operation, is going to change to, if I selected I want to do plus, it will change it to a plus. And then in the F answer field, it's going to do the calculation and put it in there. And if anything goes wrong, it'll say there's an error. Same thing with minus, times, division. And so it's pretty straightforward. Again, we're just going to copy this out. And then come over here and go to the number picker and paste this in. Okay, let's compile, make sure you don't have any mistakes. Alright, got a good compile. So now let's try and send it to the phone with Control F1. Okay. Building the APK. Alright, so now if I come up here and do 1, and do a 2 here. Now when I click on select operation, pops up this picker box. I never used the mouse with this, so you can drag So plus is what I want to do. So I'm going to click on OK. So now it's changed the operation to plus, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Now if I want to do minus, click on OK, and I get minus 1. And so that is how this really simple little calculator works. Not much to it. And 1 times 2, drag it up, click on OK, and it's 2, like it should be. So one of the things in the program itself is, like if you look at division, well, okay, I just said if it's 0, I'm going to do a 0 divide, so I didn't really do an exception there. I caught that one on my own. But you notice that I'm using try except in here. So if something goes wrong, it actually catches it. So that is how this thing functions. That is the whole application. Hopefully, if I need to do this again from scratch, I will be able to look at this video and figure out the process.